Do you want to experience more vibrancy and health, but just can't find the motivation to take care of yourself? I'm Hannah Mason, and in today's Spark, we're going to be exploring the beliefs that hold you back. A couple of years ago, I had a client who was dealing with obesity, and on top of that had a fear that she was on track towards diabetes, which she was, in addition to seeing a whole number of people in her family who already have diabetes. Her health was kind of going in that direction. Obesity is definitely a precursor towards blood issues. A couple of years ago, a woman came to me because she feared that she was on track towards diabetes. She had a number of members of her family who were dealing with the disease, and she herself was obese. And there was a lot of fear that came up for her regarding the disease. And at the same time, she just couldn't find the motivation to take care of herself. So right away, when I hear something like that, where somebody even has a certain amount of fear and they understand that taking care of themselves is really the route they need to take, I figure they've got beliefs under the hood that's keeping the engine from revving up and moving forward. So that's what we did. We explored all of her beliefs around health and body and skinny people and fat people and diabetes and all of these different things. And we dug and we dug and we dug. And I think there was this one core belief that was really ruining everything. I even bring this up in my book, Hold That Thought, the dialogue that we had. But in a nutshell, she had this one belief that skinny people are shallow. And it doesn't sound like such a big deal to believe such a little thing like that. But it actually wreaked so much havoc in her life. Why? Because she's a deep person. She's a thinker and a reader, and she has a deep relationship in her religion and with other people. And the idea of being shallow made her nauseous, like so not who she wanted to be. So if being shallow to her is incredibly repulsive, she'll do everything in her power to not be that. So guess what? If being shallow is intimately intertwined with being thin, then she'd rather be fat than shallow. It's just that simple. And as soon as we had that conversation, I suddenly realized so many of the challenges that, particularly in the United States, people face. On the one hand, they're being told that they need to be thin all the time. And on the other hand, the really waif-like models that are being presented to them as like mentors and as idols look shallow, right? Like they're focusing so much energy on how they look on the inside and on their makeup, and you know they're being photoshopped. There's nothing more shallow than that, right? It's like all externalities, and it doesn't matter how the person is on the inside. It's all about looks, right? And so that messaging can actually turn so many people away from being anything that looks like that. They'd rather be fat to make sure that they're never that person, right? And so all of that advertising actually, for a lot of people, my guess is does the same thing that it did to this woman. It turns them off from being anything like that, and they'd rather be fat so that no one ever confuses them as being the shallow, skinny person, right? Now, the challenge is she's taken two different terms, and this I see over and over and over again in my coaching practice. She took two different terms. There's shallowness and there's thinness, and she's enmeshed them. And when we enmesh two things that don't intimately belong together, innately by nature belong together, we can create a lot of confusion in our lives. So for her, the confusion was that she didn't give herself permission to take care of herself and to lose weight because she'll do anything not to be shallow. And so we did a process of inquiry based on the work of Byron Katie to help her shift out of this belief that skinny people are shallow. And one of the things that she noticed is that when she believes that thought, whenever she looks at skinny people, you know what she does? She only looks at the outside of them and doesn't look at the inside of them. So when she believes that thought, she's shallow. She's shallow in her assessment of people simply by how much they weigh. And that was like, whoa, oh my gosh, super eye-opening. She realized that this thing that she thought about other people had totally boomeranged and come back to her. And the other thing that she realized is that often fat people are shallow. First of all, because some skinny people are shallow, some fat people are shallow, right? Just like some skinny people are deep and some fat people are deep, right? Just like people are just complex. And sometimes I myself can be shallow in one moment and deep in the other because life is rich that way, right? But one of the things that she noticed is that she puts a lot of energy into how she dresses and how much she weighs, and as her weight fluctuates up and down, she's constantly having to buy new clothes and figure out what she's going to wear. Whereas someone who's lean and they keep themselves the same weight for years at a time, they can just stay in the same wardrobe and not have to shop all the time and not have to think about how much they weigh because they know exactly how much they weigh because they weigh the same thing every day. And all of a sudden that was another like, whoa, total different way at looking at life. And she realized how shallow she had actually been. The other thing that she did was just take a look at the people in her life. And I said to her, do you have any friends who are thin and deep? And boom, right away, I mean, name after name after name after name came up. And I was like, how did you not notice any of those people? And she's like, my mind had tuned them out. I said, yes, this is a core thing that we do, that in order to believe what we want to believe, we fall into confirmation bias. We only look at the evidence that supports what we always already believe, and we just push away any data to the contrary. And in her case, it turns out the vast majority of her friends are deep and lean. And so it was just actually really funny for both of us to be able to enjoy that and to relish in how silly sometimes our minds can be. And it's just in recognizing that thoughts like this can totally mess us up. But the other question is that for many people, they feel a certain amount of motivation. Maybe they've even worked on some of these thoughts, but they don't have like a fire in their belly figuring out, man, what's gonna really motivate me to take care of my health and take it to the next level. And that's what I want to talk about in tomorrow's video. For now, I want to bring up that if you yourself are dealing with any health issues, be they mental health issues or physical issues, which to me, they're totally connected, right? When our bodies are working right, our minds tend to work right. When our minds are working right, our bodies work right. Everything's interconnected. If you're dealing with these issues and it just feels challenging or overwhelming to go through the process of healing on your own, sign up for a discovery session with moi, Hannah Mason, the Vitality Coach. You can do so by contacting me here on Facebook, or you can sign up for a discovery session directly on my website at hannahmason.com. In the meantime, I wish you a beautiful day. Want to experience more clarity, vibrance, and joy in your life? Book a discovery session with Hannah at hannahmason.com/joy.